If golf is getting tough for you right now, if your swing speed is slowing down, then you may be considering a bag that looks a little bit like this. That's a full bag of head covers. Comes with a little bit of stigma attached, I know, but from a personal note and what I've seen today in terms of numbers, it's a real option for most average golfers. And PXG have just extended a range of Lightning hybrids that I reckon are going to be huge in 2026. For the first time ever, we've seen PXG extend their options from a 2 hybrid right the way through to a 34-degree 8 hybrid. Never did I see the day that it might be a consideration to put in my own bag, but in recent years I've added a 5 and a 6 hybrid, and I've got to admit the performance out of these is incredible. Let's take a closer look before we go any further about the technology that's packed inside of this head and how it can get custom fit and help your, your tendencies to do things incorrectly might be eradicated with a little bit of help from the technology that's built into these heads. Right, that technology I referred to and how it might help. Well, it's not about sort of ball speed, it's not about how this club looks, it's not about what's inside this club. For me, it's about the adjustability that PXG have built into the hybrids, the fairway woods, and for the driver that sort of stands them apart in terms of that custom fit process. Now, we all know that shafts and hosels can be adjusted in terms of loft and lie angle. That's pretty standard across the board. But rarely have I seen sort of this kind of adjustability. These weight ports that you see in each of these heads, and again, it's replicated through fairway woods and driver, that weight is significant. It can be changed and adjusted to suit your swing type or shot type at least, and that can change from a left to right if you're a fader of the ball, if you cut the ball, if you draw the ball, or if your ball flight is too high, too low. These weights can be changed, move around within that custom fit process and make sure you're getting the very best chance possible to get a club in your hands that's going to work for you. And I think, to be fair to PXG, that's very much a unique part of what they do. So if you are going to buy one of these or consider this at the end of this video, and I think you probably are, make sure you're booking for a custom fit and get dialed in using the technology to your benefit. Right, before I hit a ball, let's go full disclosure. I'm a man who's dressed head to toe in PXG and they're very supportive of my channel. So let's get that bit out of the way first of all. And for those of you who struggle perhaps with my opinion on PXG clubs, then just clear that out your mind for a little and watch the performance of 3 hybrids that are lofted 34, 31 and 28 degrees. That's the way to perhaps then look at this review. The clubs themselves, very, very briefly, have not changed significantly from the last couple of iterations from the Black Ops. We've got a shiny crown. I preferred the matte, but underneath, again, shelf appeal wise, it's a pretty sort of blacked out club. Really like the look of it. But the big key for me is this: when you sit that ball at address, or when you sit that club at address, I've got a 34-degree 8 hybrid right now that I was looking down on. It presents a heck of a lot of loft, and it prevents a heck of a lot more loft than what I visibly see in an iron equivalent. So first of all, huge amount of positivity and confidence when I step over the ball. I think that's the key to any of these. But then what I've learned over the last 6 months or so is the performance gains that can be gotten from hybrids, even in the short end of the bag. The data that you're seeing on screen is from an 8 hybrid rather, that I collected earlier. And we've got a number of shots, but essentially a 142 carry, 5,700, just under 6,000 revs of spin, and that angle of land angle and peak height are absolutely ridiculous. And that's ridiculous because there's a real assistance, first of all, to launch the ball high. 25 degrees is a fairly steep launch, but then we've got a steep land angle, and then we've got a spin, and you combine all those things together, and all those contribute to making this game easier for an average golfer. You then, for me, and again, it's a mentality thing and not necessarily for everybody, when I have a hybrid in hand, I tend to slow the tempo down and don't feel as though a great deal of effort is required. So that again is very much a positive for my own game. That seems to fire off the face quite nicely. Slightly down the left hand side. Got a 141 carry. Let's have a look at those numbers. 24.6 launch, slightly higher on the spin. Steeper again on the descent angle because again a slightly higher peak height. What that essentially means for the average golfer, and in a nutshell, is that it's probably equivalent to it's not too far off my 8-7 iron, somewhere in between. Can I produce those kind of numbers with an iron in hand? Well, the simple answer is no, I can't, because one, I'll probably spin that ball a little bit lower. Two, I wouldn't launch the ball as high. The descent angle wouldn't be as steep, and the peak height wouldn't be as high either. So they're all key numbers for me that make a huge, huge difference. And it means that if I'm playing on a green, a par 3, whatever it is, playing into a green at 140 yards in, if I hit that shot that I just have, it's landing on a sixpence, it's going nowhere. So I've got a lot of attributes there that are making the game really easy for me. Now the one thing you'll have noticed, or at least I hope you did, that the swing was relatively easy as well. So that's also a key element. Then I'm going to move one down. We've got a 7, this is 31 degrees, and we'll just see what the sort of gapping is, because that's another key element. But again, I'm looking at a club that not too different obviously from what I've just had in hand, still plenty of loft presented. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling confident. I've got a positive strike on it, ball speed's jumped up to 109. We're again with my new little swing, we're just a little bit left at the moment. But all those numbers now again have consistently remained within, so we've got a 10-yard carry distance difference, really key. Launching still 23.3, spin hasn't dropped off, land angle again is still 50.6, and then we've got that peak height of 103. All them numbers again, so what we're looking for now, we've got 6 hybrid. Ideally what we want is a 165-ish carry or 163 carry, and we want to see if all those numbers can be maintained. I'm going down now in terms of lessening the loft. You'll know yourself if you've got your own bag in hand, the minute you start to go from the 9 iron into the 7 iron into the 5 iron, probably the confidence starts to just lessen a little bit. So every time you stand over the ball, the longer the iron gets, the less the confidence gets. That's not the case because I'm looking down on something that, to be quite honest with you, doesn't look a great deal different from where I started with the 8 hybrid. Okay, so what do we get there? 158. So we'd like to see a little bit more distance gain there. Caught that one just a tad heavy. All the other numbers I would have said are quite impressive, but we just dropped off, got a little bit heavy on the mat there. See what that does, 112, ball speed up a bit, but could be slightly down the cutty side. It was a tad, but we got up to that 162, so comfortable again in terms of that distance carry. We've gained our extra 10 yards, which is more than enough, but the important bit for me is more about the consistencies of those other parameters. We would normally associate, well I would have done anyway, hybrids with kind of the flyer and maybe some variables in terms of strike. And the variables in strike will come from me in terms of that across the face. But what's interesting is the performance has been the same or consistent with each of the hybrids that we've used through the lofts. Spin number, land angle, peak height again, and launch angle even with a 6 iron has remained incredibly favourable for an average golfer. And we're not going to go full hog, but we'll go one more. So I'm now into a 5. Again, all still part of this lightning lineup. Again, let's see if we can just add into the 175 region and just see if we can get that consistency. Again, just a tad heavy. We got the 171. I was not, again, just a little bit of the mat before ball, but we got the carry distance. 113 ball speed. Decent enough shot, 168.8, gained a bit, just lost a tad there in terms of our 10-yard increments. There, 116. Yeah, 176. So again, it did feel a little bit fast, that one. Flew out there. What were we at? We were at 162, so it's kind of 14 yards. That certainly crept up a bit. Clubhead speed did as well. But interesting parameters again, launch angle 19.3 with what is equivalent to a 5 iron. 4,000 revs of spin, 44.6 landing angle, 93 peak height. Look, in terms of performance, they do an incredibly good job. They do something that most average golfers are going to really struggle with, and that's get the ball up in the air. We then start to struggle with ball speed because of our clubhead speed starting to slow down. And they're also incredibly versatile. We're indoors here now, we're hitting off the mat, but we know that if you stick that ball in the rough, again, that kind of club head and the mass of the club head is going to help you significantly in and around those situations as well. So they offer a great deal of versatility in the bag also. So I think in summary, I'm not going to go much more detail at this video. We're having a sort of brief overlook of everything that PXG have released in this week, and then we'll maybe do a deeper dive in the weeks ahead and do some comparisons in terms of iron equivalent and how those are noticeably different. But I can assure you the data that you've seen there with irons equivalent in hand would have been significantly different, and it's those launch angles, spin rates, land angles and peak heights are the kind of things that affected, and probably even ball speeds as well. So a hugely popular lineup, in my opinion, has been released from PXG, but like I said, maybe more importantly, the message is hybrids are an incredibly beneficial option for a lot of you to consider moving forward. Right, I hope you enjoyed that one, but don't go anywhere, because tomorrow night we've got something again that I think is going to play a major part in your bag next year, and that's fairway woods from the same lineup, but yet again PXG have extended that lineup to an 11 wood, and I can't wait to see how they perform as an option to some of these lofted hybrids. Right, thanks for watching. Give me your feedback down below, comments, keep them nice and polite. Hopefully I'll get back to you, and if not, I'll probably see you tomorrow night, certainly the next day or two.